and gentlemen, welcome to the 69th episode of the Sean and Sax Show, and we don't have Sean. So today, I am pleased to introduce my darling friend Taryn.
Hi.
And we really wanted to have her on. Sean and I talked about it. He's gone doing some work right now. So we wanted to do a girl talk version of this where you guys ask me all your intimate questions that I get asked often that honestly Sean doesn't really care to talk about. So Taryn, tell everyone who you are besides my friend. And yeah.
Oh gosh. Thanks for having me.
You're
This is
welcome.
fun. I'm so
You're
glad
welcome.
I get to sit in Sean's seat. I'm Taryn Neves. I am a mom and a wife. I got 2 kids, 7 and 2. I run a women's coaching business called Gentle Warrior. I am a dear friend of Sean and Saxony Whalen.
Mm-hmm.
What else do you want to know? I don't know.
You have an adopted child as well. That's very awesome.
Yes, my 2-year-old is adopted.
Mm-hmm.
We went through quite the journey to get him.
It's really beautiful. If you guys don't follow her, follow her now. The link will be somewhere in the words around this podcast. I don't know exactly where,
Thanks.
but go follow her because she has an epic story
Thanks.
and on many levels. So
I mean, I'm kind of cool.
you are cool.
Thanks.
So we did. I asked a Q&A from all you guys, and I have so many questions. So thank you for being vulnerable and asking them. So I say we just get right to it.
Let's get to it. I get to be the one that asks the questions, which is truly an honor, and I'm excited to learn about these things too, even though I know most of them. But all right, let's dive in.
'Kay.
Saxony. All right. Advice for women who feel like they run the household but want to be in their feminine.
So I love this because I've touched on this before. I love running my household. I feel like that's my responsibility, and I want it to be my responsibility. So the way I look at it is Sean's out there, he's hunting the buffalo, right? He's providing for the family, and I don't feel like he's stronger when I'm managing the household. So I feel like it goes together because when part of being your feminine is being nurturing, and there's so much nurturing that can happen in the home. The times you get to spend with the children is very nurturing. That's very in your feminine. There is a masculine side to it, obviously, because I run the order and the structure of the home, because I'm not going to rely on Sean to do that. But, you know, I would say maybe focus on what it is at home that you can bring more of that feminine in. You know, like, do you play with your children? Do you dance in your kitchen? Like, I dance in my kitchen. I dance on my countertop with my kids very often. So running the household there's so many opportunities, I feel like, to have that feminine expression. I mean, I know you do a lot of that with your kids too.
Oh yeah. We're always dancing.
Yeah.
Like, blast the music, dance around. It's the fun part. Let them in on the fun, cooking, right? I think we get so caught up in this masculine and feminine, and really, like, the masculine side of us is important. Like, for me, I utilize that to my advantage. If something can be systematized, it's systematized. Groceries are ordered and delivered. If I can order it on Amazon,
Instacart.
Instacart's the best. If it can be on auto ship, it's on auto ship. Batteries are on auto ship to my house, because it's anything that I can utilize that masculine. So then it's taken off my plate. So I have more time to do the feminine and step into that. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if that's how she wanted the question answered, but I felt that was just what came to me. So that's what you get, sister. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Oh, I love this one. What would you say to someone curious about God who was raised that religion is a farce?
So I have a very, very, very close connection with God. I always have since I was little. I did lose it in my 20s. But I was never raised in a religious setting. My mom let me go to 2 different churches, but I never had a very strong religious background, and I have a very strong connection with God. So to me, one does not need the other. I love religion for people that don't seem to be able to find God on their own. I feel like it serves a purpose for that. And that's why a lot of people graduate from religion into a deeper spirituality, because they've realized that they have that power within them to connect directly with God. And that's the gospel according to me.
I love it.
Yeah.
Totally. What would you say are your ways that you connect to God on a daily basis?
Oh my gosh. The biggest thing and the biggest way I connect with God is in nature and in gratitude. It doesn't matter if I'm having the best day or the worst day. If I take just a moment to be present on the earth, and this might sound super hippy dippy, but it's my truth, be very present on the earth, and I just start thanking God for whatever it is, and I just list, and then I very often just start crying because I just feel so like I feel that love, and God's like, yes, this is all yours. It's always been yours, and there's so much more that's yours. And so that's I would say that's my greatest way.
I love that.
Thank you.
You said that you lost God in your 20s, which leads to this question.
Yeah.
I'm 23 and have no confident mother figure. What message would you give 23-year-old Sax?
Oh, bless that girl's heart. My early 20s, actually my late teens and my early 20s were a living nightmare to me. I was very disconnected from God. I was very disconnected from myself. I put myself in positions that just showed that I didn't have any real self-love. And so if I could go back and see that girl, it's just, I lived in so much shame, like debilitating shame, to where I didn't even know who I almost became a shell, right? And this was a gift because I alchemized all that into who I am today. So it's not a, whoa, poor girl, but it was a very painful time of my life. And so what I would say to her is honestly just, you are so much more than your mind or your pain. It lets you know, right? And so I had no idea how amazing I really was. Mm. And I see that in a lot of women that age, a lot of, guys that age, that I feel like it's just a transition period that's many people struggle with. And so it's just like, be so gentle on yourself. I mean, so gentle. The older I get, the more I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a playground to have the most joyful, abundant, grateful time ever, and just bask in all of this magic. And back then I just couldn't see it, but it was there. And so just be so gentle on yourself.
So gentle. Your favorite word, which is grace.
Grace is my favorite word.
Oh gosh. Okay. Is that when you were in your eating disorder?
Yes.
Like the thick of it?
That was, my eating disorder was for sure the worst in my early 20s. Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we've got lots of questions around eating disorders. So
good, and I'm glad,
there.
I've been waiting to talk, or not waiting, but I'm grateful that people want to talk about it.
Yeah. Okay. So this one right here. After you started recovering from your eating disorder, did you ever relapse?
100%. So, the backstory is my bulimia started when I was 10, and my parents got divorced when I was 9. So as far as I can connect the dots, it was probably something to do with I don't know where that was, probably the connection of some type of anxiety or trauma coming out of a divorce. So moving into it kind of like it ebbed and flowed as a child. And it wasn't until after I had my first son that I got really, really, really sick, right? I got really into it. And I just found it really was just my life. It was all consuming. So it's hard to say it because it's like, it's all I knew. My whole identity was connected with an eating disorder. From 10 years old on, like, it was my built-in companion. How do you lose your twin half? That's the way I used to look at it. And so I would attempt to get better, and then I would relapse because I would gain weight. And then it was like I couldn't figure out how to finally get healthy. And it took rounds and rounds and rounds and years and years and years. And ultimately, what happened is I got pregnant with a baby and I lost the baby. And I was really, really sick. Like I was really sick. So my body was really thin. My face was really swollen. This is part of what happens. And my doctor said, he's like, you're so sick that he's like, I believe your body just knows it can't carry a baby. And that just shattered me because I thought, what am I doing? Because I had this other son, my older son, and I remember looking at him and I'm like, I'm killing your mom. And I don't know how to not kill your mom. And like, this is it sounds harsh, but that's what I felt like. I felt like my days were numbered and this baby came and I lost it. And it really shook me. And I just remember I dropped to my knees. I remember where I was in my living room. And I went to God and I was like, I don't have it anymore, God. I can't do it. I can't do this on my own. I tried for 17 years. I don't know how. And I went to bed that night and I had a dream that I was supposed to have a baby. And I woke up and I remember I told my therapist and I said, I'm going to have a baby and that's what's going to work. And she's like, oh, no, we don't have babies to solve problems. And I was like, no, you don't understand. This is different. It came to me in a dream. And she's like, I just remember she's like, Saxony, we don't have babies to solve problems. Like there's other ways. I'm like, no, this is what I'm supposed to do. And I was with my son's father and he's a great human and he knew my struggles and what I was going through. And I just lost this baby with him. And I told him, I said, this is it. This is how it's going to work. And I don't recommend this to people. This is just my story. Okay. So don't go have a baby to fix your problems, but this is just my story.
The therapist was right.
Right. I know, like this sounds crazy, but it's just my truth. And I got pregnant with my son, my younger son, and that whole pregnancy, because I knew and God knew that I would not jeopardize the health of my baby for anything. I know the love I have for my children. So I literally spent that whole 9 months learning to love myself and just literally focusing all of my energy and everything I had on this baby growing. And when he was born, it's like it worked. And I did have struggles through things because it is a disease. But I've learned through a lot of healing and a lot of self-love and a lot of grace that I understand how to manage the disease without acting on it. But it very much is alive, and a lot of the consequences or side effects of taking care of myself is that I'm a healthier human anyways, because I don't do the indulgence of like what an eating disorder would bring on. And this is probably a whole episode because there's a lot of complexity to it, but that's the gist of that. So yes, I definitely relapsed. But to me, it's like, if you relapse, you just forgive yourself and you just start again in that moment. Like It's not, and I have a lot of friends in AA programs, and it's like, you can't focus on the relapse. It's like, okay, like, cool, you're human today. How about we'll just start over? It's all good,
Yes,
so.
I love that. What have you implemented now when those tendencies come back? You probably don't relapse, but those same starting points to where you probably eventually ended up there.
Yep.
So what does that look like now? Because I know a lot of it is your fitness routine and what you're eating and how you take care of yourself. But there's hundreds of questions on that. Talk about that a little bit.
So, for instance, I don't eat pizza because pizza was one of the foods that I used to totally binge and purge on. And so to me, I look at pizza like it's not a healthy food anyways. And I don't know if it's right or wrong or good or bad, whatever, but I don't indulge in certain foods because those were trigger foods for me when I was sick. So, and I have a list of them, right? But the side effect is I don't eat a lot of shitty food now because I ate so much crappy food in that I don't even look at it as food anymore. It's weird. It's almost, I was talking to my mom about it recently. It's like I have different categories for food. Like there's real food, and then there's there's this indulgent food that I don't even look at as like, because there's no nutritional value to it, or there's no, because I'm not going to eat, you know, a person with this bulimia, they're not going to eat carrots and celery sticks. Like they're going to eat a cheeseburger and a whole cheesecake or whatever it is. Like,
Yes.
And that's the truth. And so that's part of it. So I actually have a really healthy eating regimen besides gummy bears. This girl's got to live, okay? And working out. So the way I manage, I joke that it's my therapy, but it's how I manage the energy, because if you get that anxious energy, I just go move it. I go to the gym, and there's some days I don't go and I don't have to go. And it's not like I have to look a certain way. It's when I go to the gym, I know that I did something good for myself. It's like I put a penny in the you took care of yourself jar, not a you hurt yourself jar, or whatever it is, right? It's just like, I know that I did that. And it's like this satisfaction of, you loved yourself today. This is one of the ways you loved yourself today. And so
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
When you're talking, it makes me think of like, talking about health is so interesting, because it's like, we know how to eat healthy. You've been learning this since first grade. Like,
right.
Here's the food pyramid, right? But we get to this and it's like, why don't people do it? Like, why don't people do it? Because that food blocked some sort of other emotion that really needs to be focused on, which now you do that.
Yes.
You look at the real feeling behind the shitty food that you were going to eat.
Totally.
Right? You sit with it, go work out, maybe move that energy. And then you realize, oh, wait, now I'm going to eat the healthy food that actually does fuel my body, not my emotions. Right?
Yeah. We don't need our feelings anymore.
Good
I mean,
job.
yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that sugar addiction, which is also another episode, sugar addiction is a real thing,
Totally.
you know? So
Totally. Okay.
we love sugar. And I still drink Monster Energy drinks. Don't judge me.
I mean,
I have vices, okay?
we all do. You gotta live. Okay. So what is your workout routine?
So for the last couple of years, I do 200 floors on the Stairmaster 5 days a week. And then I strength train. But I don't spend a lot of time at the gym. I get that my stairs take me anywhere from 25 to 29 minutes. And then I spend the other half of the hour strength training. So I'm only at the gym for about an hour. And I just go automatically. So
It's a habit.
I just use free weights. I love kettlebells. I trained with Strong First, and a gym here locally called Warrior Strength. And yeah, so I just learned to do kettlebells. Pretty basic routine, guys. The key is its consistency. The last 10 years, I've gone 5 days a week to the gym. Excuse me. And there's no magic pill. It's just, you just keep going to the gym and you keep working out. I think if you do anything consistently at the gym that you're actually sweating 5 days a week, you're going to see results. I'm not a trainer, but that's
simple.
I would
That's
assume
simple,
that to be
guys.
true.
Simple.
Taryn she really has this. Tell them what you do, because
Oh my gosh.
she's a booty builder, and I'm a little jealous.
I lift weights. I mean, your doctor's like the queen of this, right? Like protein and weights. Like muscle is the longevity of life. But my trainer, he's like the king of glutes here in Utah, and who doesn't want to have a good booty?
My head's like,
the
do the
funny thing
husbands
is,
love him or hate him here?
I mean, like, I love him. He's great. He's so amazing. The funny thing is like, I have a booty. Like, I was not a flat booty chick. Like, there is a cellulite booty back there, Now we're just refining.
It's smiling bigger now.
It's just lifted. Yeah, we're all about the weights over here.
I love weights too, because you're also like helping with your health. Like, you're strengthening your bones when you strength train. Like, women who's like, you look at my grandmothers, right? They both have bone issues, and I know that probably won't be me, because I strength train, and that's so good on your body. It's so good.
My mom and my grandma both have arthritis. I'm like, won't be me.
Right?
Okay, but this is where we're similar. We like to be strong. Like,
oh yeah.
like we We aren't the women that are like, I want to be skinny in a size 0. We're like, no, I want to
Karate chop him fat guy if I need to. It's true.
So,
yeah. Well, I have this thing where I'm like, everybody should be able to do 1 pull-up, not 500, 1. Because if your life depended on it and you were hanging from a cliff, you need to be able to do 1 pull-up.
Get your ass.
So to me, it's like functional fitness. If it makes you stronger in your life, it makes, which makes you a better mom. It makes you you're just better when you feel strong.
Yes. I love it.
Being skinny's cool, whatever. It's not, but there's no
strong is where it's at.
Yeah. You can eat a lot more food when you have muscle because
they're
little calorie burning factories.
Oh my gosh.
You guys are going to be like, hey, we're done listening to this, ladies.
All right. We're going to switch gears a little bit here. Advice for a badass woman with huge success, but is at her lowest point mentally in life.
I would say really sit with yourself and say, why is it that you are so disconnected and struggling? Because I went through this. I worked for corporate America. I worked in finance. I was literally the top person in that business division that I was in the state of Utah. Like I was the number 1. And I was so miserable, which was around the same time that I lost that baby. And what I realized is I wasn't supposed to be doing that because I was just giving so much to this company that really didn't give 2 hoots about me, right? And I believe that God was like, you have so much more in you than like working this hard and grinding so much. And maybe that's not her. Maybe she works for herself. But to me, it's like there's a disconnection. Whenever there's disconnection, something's trying to tell you something. So it's like, cool, you can be successful, make money, but if you're miserable, then what's the money worth? Like something is, and I promise you, if you sit with it, the answer will come to you, because that little voice inside of you, it's just, I don't think you've stopped to hear it. And this is usually, that's how that happens, because it's really, really easy in our society to just power through production, because masculine production is so celebrated. And so you might be like, yes, but then that feminine little part of you is like screaming like, you need me to be here. Like, you need to acknowledge me. This is where your power is. Like, I go back to the hippy dippy stuff, but prove me wrong. Like, sit with yourself quietly, and I believe the answer will come to you. And then you get to say, do I accept the answer, or do I want to keep looking away and continuing on a path that I'm obviously miserable on? And why are you doing what you're doing? What do you think on that one, Taryn?
I love everything you're saying. I think success, or financial success, is what we're talking about here, right? Because success can mean a lot of different things. Mm-hmm. How many people do you and I know personally who have chased success and then their lives have blown up?
Unfortunately, too many.
A lot, because we're taught and we're bred and we're conditioned to believe that success equals happiness. And then you get there and you're not happy, right? So sit with yourself. Like, what do you want? What are you looking for? What makes you happy?
Yeah.
Exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
100%. Okay. Let's go into some of this relationship stuff, because we don't have Sean here and it's extra fun to talk about. Okay. How the real thing in a relationship feels different. Signs it's the real.
It's not Disney. It's not like Disney at all. I can speak to my experience. Taryn, I know you can speak to your experience on this. For me, the real was that I was met with a person that I believed was on a similar mission to me and held me to the standards that I was holding myself to. And it's not romantic. I'm going to say this. So it's like Sean and I, it was when I realized that, like, this man will sit and push me because he believes in my greatness, and I push him to his greatness. And we have this dance where we just keep helping each other level up, because that's what we love each other that much. And what happens is then all of this like yuckiness comes out because you're growing, and then you have to process through that. And what I realized with Sean is, even on our darkest days, we don't leave. Like we stay in love. We stay, even if we don't like each other, we stay in that love. And through enough time, I was like, this guy really, like, we're doing that thing. And it wasn't like, hey, it wasn't words. Like, he didn't be like, hey, I promise you forever and ever. Because my husband doesn't talk like that. His wedding vows were literally like, what else can I say? Here we are. And then he married me. Like, there was nothing fancy. There was no words of affirmation. And so to me, it was just that I realized that this man, through the struggles, through the darkness, through the good times, through everything, he stayed consistently in it with me. And I didn't always for him. To be honest. And so I think I doubted our marriage and our connection more than he did. Which is what that was the medicine I needed. I believe that was meant to be like that is I'm like, wow, this guy actually he's actually like, he's not going anywhere. He really is like, holy shit, but
talk about that for a minute, because what you're saying is that this is what I'm hearing. We as women doubt our relationships with men more often than men doubt it, probably because of what you started this way saying is Disney, right? Like, we're like, oh, it's supposed to be this way. Like, yes. I cannot tell you how many things on Instagram I see right now that are supposed to be healing and building these relationships. And I'm like, no, that's not. It's not. That's codependence. That's fucking codependence, right? So
to become one, no.
Yes. But so talk about that. Like, talk about what it's been like to change your mindset around this is what it should look like and what I was bred to make it look like, and this is actually what it is. Yeah.
So, like the memes are like, oh, well, when you meet the right person, things will all fall into place. Like, no, nothing was fell in place. Everything got thrown out the window, honestly. It's really hard for me to articulate right now. I don't know why, but it was one of those things. It was like, I wanted him to be sweet to me, and I wanted everything to be just like soft and delicate. And he was just, and that's not at all what it was. What it was it was like, he planted his flag. He was with me, and he wasn't going to change who he was, and I'm not going to change who I am, but we're going to both bring out the better parts of each other. And it's, it's not, I believe that when you're with a person that you truly love and they truly love you, you don't tolerate a lot of their excuses and their bullshit anymore. And most people I had dated before, like they totally signed off on my bullshit, or they totally let me steamroll them, or they totally let me just basically, most people I dated let me do whatever I wanted, right? Yeah. And not in a negative way, but like, they were just like, oh, I'll just make her happy. Sean doesn't set out to make me happy. He sets out to love me enough, or love me so much that I become a better version of myself. And that love sometimes is really hard love. And he's a very sweet human being, but he has zero tolerance for anything but my greatness. And that to me is true love. I'm like, this man loves me so much. And what's a coincidence about it is that's how I mother. And when I stepped back, I was like, this is exactly how I am with my kids. And I tell them that. I say, I love you so much. I won't let you accept less of yourself than God made you to be. I won't. And we don't have to be friends along the way. But I know you're better. I can see the gold in you. I
love it.
So have your pity party, just like he says with me, and I say with him, have your pity party, but get your shit together. We've got stuff to do. And that is unconditional love to me. What do you think?
Amen. Oh, I love it. I'm just like, bravo.
I'm like, it took me a second to get all that out, but there you go.
Was that the last episode that you and Sean talked about this? Or was that 2 episodes ago? The one you just sent me.
I think it was the last episode. Okay. Might have been 68, yeah. Yeah.
Refer to episode 68.
Uh-huh.
It's true, though. Mm-hmm. Is like let's simplify it. This is what Jeremy and I teach on all the time. Like, Jeremy and I got to this point in our relationship, and we've been married for almost 12 years, but it was, I wanted him to tell me I'm pretty. I wanted him to tell me I'm pretty. I wanted him to tell me I'm pretty. And it got to the point where he was like, I can't tell you you're pretty enough. You've got to believe it. So he was like, when I'd be like, do I look pretty? He'd be like, what do you think? Go figure it out. Like, because it's holding you to that standard to finally figure out, what do you believe? You love yourself, holding you to a higher standard. That's what it's about.
Totally.
It's not about finding this relationship that's like, oh, he tells me how great I am and he holds the space for me while I scream and yell. He's like, you're fucking psycho. What is wrong with you? And you're like, yeah, I am kind of psycho. Okay, that's probably something to look at.
I'm just going to go cry it out. You should probably leave the room because I just need to cry it out.
Yes. And
yeah.
And we're so passionate about that, right? But it's true. So someone that makes you a better person in not the most beautiful ways.
Right? Yes. It is episode 68. Go listen to that because it's true. It's like, you know, it's not pretty. And then a lot of times it's labeled toxic and all this stuff. And I don't believe that. Not with a person like me. I'm sorry. Like Sean knows exactly how to love me into the better version of me. He just does. Because I don't do anything easy anyways.
Yes. I love it. All right. Advice on moving in together smoothly with kids, with his kids and my kids, all boys. And the next question was advice on how you blended your families with older kids.
Sure.
So similar.
I think I also referred to this in the last episode. I did not want to play house with Sean. I had no interest in moving my children into another man's house that we weren't going to do life together. And do life together can be like, oh, we're just going to stay. No. Like, I wanted a commitment, and I wanted a tangible commitment. And I orated that to Sean very clearly. And I gave him, that was just what I wanted. If he didn't have to accept that, but he wanted to, you know, he's like, we should, you know, move in together. And I'm, no, like, I have this house, I have my life. I'm not uprooting my children. So with me, I wouldn't play house. It wasn't until Sean proposed to me that I considered even doing anything at all. Because I just didn't want my children to, if something happens, because statistically it's more likely to not work than work, right? I didn't want to uproot my children into that. So that might be an unpopular opinion, but I had done that previously. I owned a house with a person that I dated in another long-term relationship, and it was really hard to move my children out of that situation, and that I made a promise to myself that I would never do that again. So obviously they're your children, you can make decisions like that you want, but that's how I handled that. And then blending the kids, I love my stepchildren. I don't call them my stepchildren. I love them because I just love the expansion of family, and I loved them because they're my person's children. And so it's so fun to just combine. It's just all love. And so to me, it was like they blended really, really well. Now we have problems. Like I have a house full of teenage boys. If you follow me on Instagram, I make fun of them all the time. Like I did yesterday with the entire carton full of broken eggs or used eggs. There's no egg in there. They're all shells. But for the most part, you know, we treat them all the same, and we just do everything as a family. So there's not like his kids and my kids and they go on trips and then we go on trips. It's like we're a family, period. So
I love it. You guys have done it so well. It's so
you.
Fun to watch them. They have the cutest little relationships with each other.
Thank you. I honestly, I love it so much. I feel like they were always meant to be mine. They were just, God was like, you get them a little bit later in life, which is great.
Yes. Okay. I love this. Advice on a firm yet compassionate household. Rules and boundaries.
I am the stricter parent. I'm probably the strictest parent of all of the parents, I would think. Goes back to I believe in my children. I see their excellence. I believe in them. Not saying the other parents don't, but you know, like I will continue to hold them accountable for something that so for instance, like, put your dishes in the dishwasher, take your shoes off at the door, whatever it is. I will remind them and remind them, and I will never let up. So then it becomes this funny joke where I'm like, the power's in your hands to stop my nagging by just doing the thing and being mindful. And I teach them to be mindful, but I am probably like a thorn in their side. And I don't care, because I tell them, I'm like, I love you enough to be like, I want to teach you mindfulness. I want to teach you respect. I want to teach you responsibility. I want to teach you what integrity looks like, what keeping your word, things like that. And yeah, I mean, I expect a lot of them, but my kids are also very spoiled. I say, just don't become spoiled rotten, because then we're going to have a problem. So they're wonderful, and I just believe in their excellence, and I don't want to coddle their, I never want to coddle them to where they don't believe that they're capable of more. And so that kind of comes with being a strict parent. Like, even sometimes Sean's like, Sax, they're kids. And I'm like, I don't care, because this is the only time we have, and we have such good kids. But yeah. So I'm a pretty dang strict mom.
I love that. Talk a little bit about, I was trying to find the question. That's why I was searching here. But how you stay in that strict parent mode and being your feminine at the same time.
Mm-hmm. So I reiterate how much I love them, because and I want them to understand what my why, because a lot of times I think that if a parent doesn't explain the why, then they just it becomes like a dictatorship, or it becomes like this person just, she just sucks. But if you spend the time to actually orate the why, I did this recently with my youngest. But this was a coach. He was really upset because the coach was, he kept kind of pushing him, his little goalie coach, pushing him, and he would say, I can't do blank. And the coach would say, yet. And so, and he was all flustered, and he gets in the car. And so we had this conversation of why. And I showed him that his coach, he's probably the best coach, because he sees how great you are. He can see that. And just because you can't see it right now, he's not going to say, okay, well, if you can't see it, then it doesn't matter. And it's like showing the kids, I see your greatness. I know you have this in you. Now, you just saying, oh, I don't know, or oh, I don't want to do it, or oh, it's like, no, because God gave you a gift. God gave you your excellence. I'm going to continue to support you finding that. And so then it becomes less of I feel like they resent you less, because they understand why you're basically not giving in.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's a loving way too. Like, it's exactly what we're talking about with marriage. Like, it's actually love. It's tough love that people say it, but it's not really. Like, it's just, I'm including you in this conversation, where a lot of us think love is like, oh, I'm going to let you do whatever you want. And you're going to give me everything, right?
Yeah.
It's not like you're in your feminine, you're loving them, right?
And also, I spend a lot of physical, like, I snuggle. Like, I love snuggling. I snuggle my kids. I tickle their hair, when they're watching TV. I tell them how give them words of affirmation constantly. We play, we dance. Like, so it's not all strict mom stuff, but my kids, like, they know I mean business, but they also know that mom's fun. But it's like, I even support the other parents. So like, if something's up with, like, say Sean, and he's strict about something, or Relic's like, I don't know what to do, Sean said this, like, helping the children understand the intentions of a parent is that's so loving. That's so feminine. It's not giving in and letting them do whatever they want. That's not love to me. Yeah. Because children are looking for the boundary. It's like they're push, and they're like, because they're in discovery mode. They're children. So they push, and they're like looking, they're like, how far do I have to go to where I hit a wall, a boundary? And then where there isn't any, then they don't understand the rules of the world, right? Jordan Peterson, go read 12 Rules for Life. Like, we teach children how the world works. And if we don't teach them that, then the world will. And it's way more loving to teach them discipline and responsibility and integrity and accountability in the home, then let the world teach them, because they'll just eat them alive. So that's really loving your children.
Totally.
In my opinion.
Totally. All right. Were you scared you'd be single forever?
Yep. I had a moment. It was actually, I think, in between 1.0 and 2.0, Sean and I. And I was sitting on my stairs and I started crying in my house. And I was like, why not me, God? Like, all my girlfriends, they were, getting engaged and they were married and they had all these, great relationships. And I didn't. I had Bumble dates that were just Bumble dates. They weren't bad. They were great people. And I remember thinking, like, God, like, I'm successful. I have my own house. I'm responsible. I think I'm pretty dang good looking. Like, I don't need any kids. I don't really need anything. I just want, right? This is not a need. And I would get all like, but the truth is I knew in my heart, God was like, it's not your time yet. Just keep doing I needed to do what I needed to do to be able to connect with Sean. And he had to do the same. And it's all in timing. So there's a girl in the den. Her name's Sierra. I love her so, so much. She also had a similar path to this. And she shares her story. And, she was in a similar place I was. She's a beautiful, great, phenomenal human being. And she was like, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? And when she finally accepted, you need to just love you. You need to go tenfold on you and loving and just building you into the greatest woman you've ever imagined. Then you're going to align with your person. Because in my belief, I wasn't going to align with the best version of Sean until I did that work. And that's just true. And so it wasn't my time yet. So I did. It was super sad because I had my pouty moments as I just wanted what I wanted now. And I'd also accepted that I would probably just be a plant mom and just like be the old lady that just had all the gardens. And I was okay with that. So I thought, you know what? I'm okay with that. And then I think as soon as I accepted that I was okay with that, then life was like, okay, here's Sean.
Then he came along.
Again.
I love it. Well, I already know the answer to this question. You just answered it. If you hadn't married again, what would you be doing right now?
Gardening. Gardening and making jewelry. That's exactly what I did.
Yes.
When I was single.
Yes. I love it. Okay. Sick of the I don't want a relationship men. How did you keep Sean interested early on?
Sean was kind of one of those guys in the beginning. He was not committal. He was doing his thing. And it wasn't that I didn't really set out to keep him interested. I just stayed true to me. And so after, he flaked on me 3 times and then I broke it off with him. And it was just like, okay, cool. Like, I did not want to date people that didn't prioritize or value the time that I allotted for them. It might sound very but I was a single mom with running 2 companies I had my two of my own companies, and I only have precious amounts of time that I can give to people outside of my children and my clients. And so if you're going to not care about that, then you're just, sorry, you're not on the list. So I think what I did is Sean saw that he didn't like it at first. He actually called me a pretentious bitch, which I probably was on the phone. When I broke it off with him, it was just, I just stayed true to me. And now to him, after he got over he realized that it's pretty gangster that I cared. He saw that I loved myself more than I was trying to get him to love me. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so he saw that is that's an attribute of a woman he wants to be with. So ironically, that's how it worked. But there's a lot of risk involved that I hear women say, well, if I say that, then maybe he won't want to see me. Well, okay, cool. Then that's not your person. Thank you, life. Thank you, God. Thank you, whatever, for removing that person from me. So then I have the likelihood of me connecting with the person I'm supposed to be with is there. But we get into this I think so many people want to be chosen that it blinds us from, do I actually align with this person? And so why do you worry about aligning with dudes that don't want what you want? Like,
Yeah.
That's a blessing, girlfriend.
100%.
He's not lying to you if he's like, I don't want to do that. Thank you for truth. Bye. Because there's a lot of people in the world.
If you have to keep him interested, it's the wrong dude. Did
Yes.
I meet you in Sean and Sax 2.0? Okay.
And it was still a rough path in the beginning. Oh, by the way, Taryn was on the board of directors for for Sean's dating panel. What was it? How did he?
Yeah.
Board of directors.
I was the board of directors. So
He had a broken
we would
picker.
We would be out and he'd be like, how about this girl? And I'm like, nah. He'd be like, why? I'm like, just trust me. Like, not that one. Yeah. And then he finally brought Sax around. Actually, funny story. I met Saxony. We went to Moab.
Yes.
And we stayed, because we only stayed one night, and Sean stayed more than one. Y'all stayed more than one night. But we stayed in their trailer with them. Bad idea.
And she still liked me afterwards.
Oh my. I loved her. Like, afterward, I was like, I like her. She's dope. But it was like 6 a.m. and the freaking trailer is like moving back and forth. And I was just like, I am in this trailer and they are having sex right now. This is not fun. I am never doing this ever again. But then I got out and I was like, yeah, she's dope. All right. We're good.
I don't know. That's how it works.
And here we are.
I know. But yeah, I feel like that's like the best thing though, is don't grasp at crumbs, guys. Like you don't need, the thing is like there's only, if you're a monogamous person, which I am, there's only one person for you. So don't expect the majority of people to be the one person, because it doesn't make sense, right? Because then you'd have lots of one, like, no, there's your person, and I believe that, and there's probably a few people on this planet that could potentially be your person. I'm not going to say it's like there's the one and only, but they're not supposed to all be what you need. And so be grateful that, but let them go, and let them go with like just love. Like there's no, you don't have to burn every bridge or hate every person. But man, if a person's telling you the truth about their intentions, God bless that. Don't hang on to it.
True that. Because
it's not going to get better.
Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to decide which way to go. You mentioned before you didn't get alimony, child support after divorces.
Yes.
How did you get by?
Worked. So I understand why child support and alimony are a thing. I've always been a working person since I was a child. I've always had a job. When I got divorced, I didn't take full custody because I don't believe that I'm entitled to more of the children than their fathers. As long as it works for both situations, for both households, I believe that the parents should both have equal rights to children. That's a huge thing. Unless there's some toxic thing or some dangerous thing involved. But when I got divorced, 50-50 custody, and I wrote a letter to the judge. Actually had a divorce from both my sons' fathers. One was because of an adoption thing, and that's basically, we're all friends, all amazing. But when I got divorced, I wrote a letter to the judge, and I just said, I under no circumstance want to have child support paid by either party. We have this. And if at any point in time we don't have this, then we can come back and we can have the courts handle our business. I don't like to put any part of the government into my personal life if I can not do that. Plus it creates a much more, you're almost forced to compromise and work together because you're held accountable to your word and your actions, and I just think, I don't know. So the child support's whatever. So that's how I got by, was I worked. And so when things came up, we pulled together and we made it happen. If the kids need braces, we just both pay for it. If whatever, you just both contribute. Because if I had 10 kids and I couldn't go to work, that'd be different. But I have 2 children, and so it was never a thing that I couldn't go to work. So I believe that in a lot of cases I see child support complicates a relationship that could probably be better if there wasn't so much money involved. But I also know that not all parents know how to get along and to be respectful and honor each other. But I have a tremendously beautiful relationship with my kids' fathers. And so we literally have never had an issue. And I have a 21-year-old and a 12-year-old. So it's never been an issue. So it can happen. But yeah, plus I didn't want to, they're my responsibility. They're my kids. Like if their dads wanted to pay for something more, then they could. But I don't know. That's how I think about that.
I love that. I have a lot of respect for you and Sean and the way you handle divorce and parenting and money and all that stuff. Yeah. So
because that's the thing is like when I would go on these Bumble dates, it was like one of the main things that guys would share with me was about the bitterness of their alimony, the bitterness of their ex-wife and the divorce. And it was just like, man, it just doesn't, both sides I don't know. It just seems complicated, but I do get if like you've never had a job and you have a whole bunch of children, you don't have an education. I understand that there's a time and a place for things for sure. That's just not my experience.
I love it. Okay. How to transition from being independent to being taken care of and protected by a man.
It took me a while. I didn't know how to let Sean drive for a long time. I didn't know how to spend his money. I didn't know how, like, it was awkward for me. And what I realized in the beginning is I was making it way more complicated because I had all these weird emotions around it, but it's not emotional. He said, I want to take care of you. You don't need to do these things, but I would like you to do these things, like take care of our home, like be there for the kids, help with this. And it was hard in the beginning because I just didn't know how to trust him. And then I finally just realized that this is how this man loves me and loves his family, is he provides for us. And so the minute I stopped being weird about it and I just started like using his finances or our finances as our finances, then it just became less awkward. I don't know if that, again, even in the beginning, it was like, I felt like I was like, well, if it's for my kids, I need to use this money and I still need to have a job because I was holding on to this. I need to have a job because I was so scared to trust him. And it was weird because that was like my biggest thing that I was terrified of, was being financially dependent on someone. And even though I still have my jewelry company, whatever, I still was like, I feel like I can't let go. But that was holding me back. So when I finally let go and I'm like, dude, Sean's got it. Like he's taking care of his family. I just like blossomed. I was like, oh gosh, I just finally let go of that because I had so much scarcity in my masculine around in our relationship. And I did, like, the minute I let go of it, I'm like, now he doesn't care if I need to buy the kids shoes. He doesn't care. He's just like, go take care of it. But I didn't understand that. Mm-hmm. And so I had to give myself a lot of grace in the transition of that. And it was a bumpy road. And Sean doesn't like a lot of questions. He was just like, just do it. I'm like, I don't know how to just do it. Like, just do it. I'm like, ah. So yeah, just, I mean, it's a learning curve. Anything is a learning curve. It's like switching jobs. Basically, that's what it is. I switched careers. I went from running a real estate team and a design company to being a wife and a mom. And like, that was a huge right turn, but you get used to it. But I will tell you, this is way more gangster and way more fun and way more fulfilling being where I'm at now, letting go of the boss bitch, the boss babe that I had to like have all of this stuff and be so independent and have this identity connected to all this production and success. And oh my gosh, I'm way more happy now. I mean, honestly, I'm way more fulfilled now.
So cool. Mm-hmm. It's been so fun to watch.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you.
I like this question. Has social media or DMs ever been a problem in your relationship, and how do you handle it?
Not really, because my husband is quote unquote influencer, as they say. So it's to be expected. I look at social media as his part of his job. I don't, he's going to talk to women. He's going to talk to men. He's going to talk, he's good. He has his coaching group is the same thing. And so I don't have any scarcity around social media at all. But I also have a husband that is a very, he doesn't fuck around with, like, he doesn't play in the gray area. He might have when we were dating in the beginning, but that's also a learning curve. It's like, oh, I need to, like, be this way. But, and not that he did anything wrong. I'm not implying he did anything wrong, but he, Sean is a man that I trust, and I know he's talking to females, but I also know that he helps a lot of men and women that's just what he does. And so there's not really any issues with it. The only time, I don't think that we have anything, but I just don't have, I trust my marriage. I love my husband. Like, if I didn't, then what, I'm going to just make myself a miserable, crazy woman.
Yeah.
Because he's going to do what he's going to do. Guys, everyone's going to do what they're going to do. If they're going to cheat on you, they'll probably cheat on you during the day when they're at work. He's not going to do it at night when, like, people are going to do what they're going to do. So just maybe, like, don't make yourself crazy over that stuff. If that's where you're going with that, don't make yourself crazy.
You either trust them or you don't.
Yeah.
If you don't trust them, then managing DMs is like the smallest of your issues.
That's
honestly.
That's all you.
Oh,
you're going to make
my
yourself
God. I think when you're talking, it makes me laugh because I know Sean so well. I knew Sean before I knew you, but it's my favorite question. Even with Jeremy and I, people are like, how do you get Jeremy to do this? I'm like, if you think I get Jeremy to do anything, you totally do not understand our relationship. It's the same thing with you. It's trust or you don't.
It's
right?
It's absolutely, like, yeah, absolutely. Like, I would go crazy trying to micromanage Sean in any regard of anything like that. I trust him. But I have had other people that I've dated in my life that were not trustworthy, that were absolutely not. But life is a funny way of revealing things. Like, I dated someone and I just saw on his phone that he was not being in integrity. And I was like, oh, now I know. We're done. Love you, bye.
Yeah.
And so you're going to find out, and they're going to do what they're going to do. So you either trust him, and I'm telling you, the more you trust a man, the more connected he is to you, because men want to be trusted. They want trust and freedom, right? And so the more I found that I trust Sean, and he knows he has the freedom to go and do greatness in whatever that is. He can't wait to come back home, or he can't wait to be right back with me. But it's when I give off the other energy, when I'm trying to control, or I have scarcity, it's like, he's like, oh, go, like, it's almost like repellent. So it's that dance of, you get more of what you want when you actually just lovingly trust. Now, if you're with someone you shouldn't trust, then why are you with them?
True. I love that. So much goodness here. Okay. Have you always been so confident?
Nope. No, I'm still not even confident. Confidence is like, you just put it on it's like you just put it on. It's like, okay, we got this. I do. I'm confident, but I'm also very not confident. But that's what kind of is the joke now of me in my life is, I like this podcast. I'm still awkward for me. I despise being on stage. Like, it's my worst fear, and I've done it, and I hate it. Like, I never know what to talk about, and I just want to be like, hi, crack a joke, be goofy, and then, like, I'm going. But I don't take myself as serious, and I don't take the lack of confidence as, like, I don't put so much weight on it. It's like, okay, I'm not confident in the situation. I'm just going to have fun instead. Because I don't think that there's a human on the planet that walks around 100% confident all the time and doesn't have a bad day. Because I think we just learn to manage it in a way that's healthy. You know, I believe that having lack of confidence in certain things is like the challenge that makes us grow into something better. Because if we didn't have something that was highlighted as like me speaking, public speaking, right? If I didn't have that, then I wouldn't feel that goodness of growing and accomplishing when I do start speaking on stage or I do the podcast, if I didn't have that in the beginning, right? But I just don't take myself as seriously. But I used to take myself, like I said earlier, so seriously because I had so much shame. And it was like everything was do or die. Everything was, you know, everything was such a big deal. And now it's like, it's just not.
Who cares?
Yeah, who cares? And I think that maybe that comes with age. I'm almost 40. But maybe it's just life. Maybe you just get wiser and you realize this is not that big a deal. This whole life, it's just not that big a deal. Like, be a good person. Have fun. Like, don't take yourself so seriously. Truly. And don't hang out with shitbags that make you feel bad about yourself, maybe, too.
Amen. Amen to that.
Oh my gosh, this is fun. I feel like I don't even know how long this episode was. Maybe we'll cut it too. But thanks, everyone. I can't wait to share with you where Sean is. So stay tuned. We'll probably talk about it on the podcast because that's what we do. So, as always, love you guys. Happy number 69. We made it. Love you, bye.